Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your co-host with Debbie and Matthew from NDIS Property Australia, and you're listening to the SDA Housing Podcast. Australia explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in its ever-changing NDIS world. Debbie, over to you.
Hey Minh, hey Matt.
Hello, how's it going?
This is a bit of a sad day. This is going to be Matt's last podcast with us.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he sprung a bit of a doozy on us the other week. He has been offered his dream job down in Sydney, working in cybersecurity, which he has been studying, and he's leaving us.
Yeah, so this is my final day at B&H / NDIS Property Australia. So it's a bit sad, and it's been a long journey. I started 3.5 years ago, coming up to about 3.5 years, and at the time it was just me, Minh, and Debbie. At that stage was in India. So a lot has changed in a few short years.
Certainly has. We've gone from just the three of us to a team of around 30. So yeah, Matt, you've seen everything that we've been through in this company, in this business, and the phenomenal changes that I guess our company has in parallel to the changes in the SDA world have gone through. So we firstly wanted to just say farewell, thank you, but also get your last and final words of advice for any of our listeners looking to get into the SDA space.
I think that's probably the last question. The first question to Matt should be, how has his journey been the last 3.5 years? I think where he was at the very start, how was it to begin with as a newbie to the world of SDA, and how has he seen the education of, or the lack of education from the very start of investors coming to the SDA world, and how has it progressed and the evolution of SDA overall, and what has he seen in the last 3.5 years? I mean, we would love to hear your thoughts, Matt, because there are people who are on this podcast journey who've been from the very start with us as well, but there are also newbies coming into this world of SDA now, today, who would also be listening to this podcast. What are your, what's your journey been like for the last, few years?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I first started with the company, I knew nothing about SDA really at all. I had some experience in sales and in marketing, I guess kind of talking to clients, doing client management, that sort of work. But in terms of the actual industry that we were working in, SDA and NDIS properties, didn't really know much about it. And at that stage, I dare say that I feel a lot of people did not know about NDIS.
Including me and Minh.
Including all of us. It was very new. We were kind of feeling our way, with Minh's insight and his ability to kind of network, understand what a complex industry it is, and then kind of create a business out of that, create something where we could add value. That's where I suppose NDIS Property Australia really came ahead of the game, I suppose. And at that stage, we were kind of in a space where we were trying to learn and then realizing at the same time how much we actually knew. And at the time, we're thinking, we've got a lot to learn. We're still learning ourselves, but we were talking to people out there in the industry, and we were working out, hey, we actually know a fair bit, and we've got value to share in terms of our experience and what we were dealing with. And a lot of people at that stage, and it is still the case, they're in their own particular niche, be that they're a builder, they're a provider, they're a participant, and they don't see beyond kind of their own spectrum of their own experience. And we were kind of seeing that and realizing that through our networking, we were actually learning a lot about different areas and how all the little bits and interconnecting aspects of the industry came together to create what is SDA, essentially. And I think when we really started going was when we kind of realized that through our insight, through our knowledge, that we could give people advice and we could act as more, I suppose, in the advisory role and the education role. And I think a lot of what we were trying to do, both through this podcast, through all of our materials, our webinars, our ebooks, everything we do became more about providing value and creating essentially what was missing in the industry, which is knowledge, and knowledge from a source where we're not just, angling it from a particular perspective where it benefits us, but to an all-encompassing kind of way of viewing the industry so that you get the most out of it. And at the end of the day, we're all here to learn. We're all here to, build value for ourselves and for other people. So that's kind of been, I guess, the journey I've seen take place. And that's been what our core focus has been, what we've done best, I think.
Matt, did you have fun dealing with the same odd client for years and years and years? Not the trimmers and all those kind of guys that come back and forth to you every year. I mean, there are highs and lows and whatnot in any business, but I guess you were always positive. You're always there to help, and I really appreciated your enthusiasm and your energy every day you came into the last 3.5 years to always be there and answer the questions, and that's what we were all about. And what's your feedback on that experience with people?
I mean, for me, it's fine because it's always just it's always a bit different. But there's no one has the same situation, and everyone I enjoy having just chats with people, learning about what makes them tick, how I suppose we can best provide value to them, and what their own situation is. So as much as it's been the same kind of conversations, they've also all been different, and it's been interesting, kind of being able to educate people, being able to help out where we can, and just seeing people get value out of what we're doing has been really good.
Debbie, do you have any questions for Matt about his experiences the last 3.5 years, Debbie?
Yeah, I think from your perspective, what has been the biggest challenges that you've had working here and just in the SDA space in general?
I kind of alluded to it a bit, and just kind of people not being on the same page in terms of different areas of knowledge being kind of kept away, or we don't show anyone this side of the industry because it's our kind of exclusive knowledge that we're trying to safeguard.
The secret squirrel kind of aspect.
Yeah. So I think that's a double-edged sword for people to do that, because they might think that they're hiding some industry secret, but they're preventing themselves from realizing how much value they can add, and by adding value, it's gonna come back to them. So I think that's one aspect of it. Us understanding it and then being able to convey that successfully to people has been something that which we've always thought is important, and we've always tried to challenge ourselves to do better at. And I think a lot of our business is about essentially being able to give people the most value that we can.
Matt, what about the people who've come through our office here who, as employees and staff? I mean, what's your impression or experience with dealing with the different personalities coming through who may or may not fit your working circle or the office environment? How has that affected or impacted you as well, different people's?
I mean, I'm a pretty easygoing person, and I would say most of the people who have passed through here have been excellent. I've really enjoyed everyone here, knows how to relax, knows how to have a good time, but also knows how to work. And I feel like our recruitment process has generally tried to find people who can complement the business, not only in terms of their work, but also in terms of how they work with other people, and realizing that, you're a small part of the business, or maybe you're a larger part, but if you're able to kind of also act in a way where, I suppose, with our business, we've done given a lot of people autonomy, I would say, or allowed their ideas to flourish. If they did want to go in a particular direction, or they had an idea, we were always willing to take it on board and run with it. And I think that's been really good as well in terms of allowing people to be their best selves.
Yeah. Matt, would you agree that our business model here is very different from the majority of our competitors out there who are selling SDA?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I think we've always been ahead of the curve in terms of what's been happening in the industry. We've kind of been on top of it, or we've been ahead of it where but more so already moved on to things providing more value.
But Matt, more so the point, we, unlike our peers and competitors who are only focused on selling, that was never our focus.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier, where you've got like people who they just sit in their particular sphere of what they want to work on, and they either couldn't care about anything else or don't know about anything else. And we've always been very open to exploring new opportunities and new movements in this space, adapting to the current needs of what people want from our business, what services we can provide. And I feel like that's been our ability to adapt has definitely been the forefront of what's helped us achieve success.
Debbie, any comments from you about what Matt has said?
Yeah, look, Matt, you've said that what we say many times, that it's all about collaboration in this industry. And when we first came into it, as you said, it was really hard to find the information. People were kind of keeping what they knew to themselves, and we worked really hard to find out stuff, to figure things out. And we realised that no one else knew this either, and that's why we did start that journey of being as much an educational provider as selling property. So, you're spot on there that it's been so much more of our focus of our business in just informing and providing a place for people to come and get information that they are struggling to get from anyone else.
Yep, 100%.
What has been the highlight of your podcast journey on this show the last 2.5 years, Matt?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Just trying to think back on all the podcasts I've done. I think it was a long time ago, but my SDA 101 podcast, I think it was about a 20-minute podcast, and I kind of went into each aspect of SDA and the types of properties, and it's a very succinct episode where I felt I just gave a lot of technical knowledge in a small amount of time.
I'm quite surprised that we're still going strong with our podcast topics, Debbie. I mean, 2.5 years now, and although we're averaging now one per week for the last 3 months now, for 2 years, we're doing 2 shows a week, true. But for the last 4 months, we're now averaging one a month. Because, why is that case, Debbie? Why is the case we're doing one per week, now?
Well, firstly, because we were too busy.
Yes.
To actually manage to get 2 episodes recorded. And because our focus has gone into other areas and building different parts of the business. No other real reason than that. There's still plenty of information to cover. There's still plenty of people to interview. And we're starting to get a few episodes banked up again,
yes,
which is good. But initially we thought when we started doing 2 a week, we thought we're never going to be able to maintain this because we're just going to run out of things to talk about. But that has not happened. And Matt, you've been quite a regular host or co-host on our episodes. I know you've done a few sort of question and answers from investors, those sorts of podcasts. So I think, you've had some great episodes along the journey.
Yeah, I think how many would it have been? Probably maybe 15.
Did a few with Aaron as well, with doing other investors as well.
Yep.
Did a few of the recent Ask Us Anything sub-series as well. But I think your contribution to the show, Matt, the last 2.5 years, as everyone else has been, has really helped bring in a lot of recent inquiries. To be even today, now, these days, a lot of our inquiries coming in are because of our discussions about fee for service, research, developments, projects, collaborations. It's still bringing us good referral business at the moment. And we always knew that this is a long journey of doing this role of a podcasting thing. And I've been watching other competitors online, Debbie, being podcasting or YouTubing, and they've sort of fallen off the track because we always knew it's hard work doing a video thing or doing a podcast. It's hard work, really hard work. And to edit it, publish it. I mean, I'm watching the competitors, and they're not really keeping up anymore. They've sort of. And then people ask us, should we do a video podcast ourselves? And we said, no. If we did videos,
simple.
It would be too hard for us to do that. No,
you can't. Listen to a video podcast in the car.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've been listening to another podcast series at the moment that are podcasts, and I missed out on all of that because that's when I listened to my podcasts.
Yes.
So I think we'll remain as we are. It's enabling us to put out the content that we want when we want it. But back to your journey, Matt.
Matt, any advice you have of us to maintain or change in our podcast model and theme moving forwards as you move on to a new career? What advice do you have to me and Debbie to the podcast show here?
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I feel like we keep it interesting. We do a combination of both interviewing people, talking about various topics, addressing different things in terms of news in the industry. If we can continue making sure that we kind of hit all bases in terms of making sure it's dynamic enough to where we're encapsulating not just purely information, not just purely interviewing, and not just purely news about the industry. If we can just keep that going into
Yes.
yeah.
Because Debbie, as you said in the past, I mean, we started this journey 2.5 years ago, and we were still learning ourselves. And I think by ourselves as a business, a brand, putting ourselves out there, saying, "Hey, we want to know who's out there, who's in SDA world around Australia. Talk to us. Let's collaborate." But being nice people who want to share the information and network and learn, being nice people, full stop, that is attracting us, our business. I mean, I think that's the key to success here, Debbie.
And can I just say, it's actually not 2.5 years of podcasting. It's about 2 years and 9 months.
Okay. Yeah, almost 3.
Almost 3 by the beginning of next year, February.
3 more
3 years old.
months. 3 more months will be 3 years podcast.
The SDA Housing Podcast
3
is
years.
coming of age.
Do you think, Debbie, Matt will go back to two shows a week again?
I'd like to go back to 2 shows a week.
The industry standard for doing podcasts is generally like 1 episode a fortnight. So we've been incredible in terms of how many episodes we put out.
But I watch our download numbers. The more we put out, the more listens we get. That's a fact. And the less we do, the less, because people react, but when they get a reminder on their phone, on the Spotify or Google or whatever it is, Apple iTunes, ding, ding, new episode, right? So the more you release, the more you get downloads. That's all it is. Yeah. So I think if there's change, attrition in the world of NDIS and SDA with news content changes,
There will always be content for us to put out.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. But Matthew, before we wrap up this episode today, what are your final words of advice to anyone who is listening, who is a potential SDA investor or is a past SDA investor? What's your advice to them moving forwards in their SDA journey ahead for them?
We've always kind of said, just make sure that you do your research. You're aware of the different aspects of investing in an NDIS property. Don't see it as there's just one thing I need to care about. I just have to care about just participants. I just have to care about just yields. Make sure you're not like I suppose, one-trick pony in terms of what knowledge you're consuming. Realize that it's dynamic. It has a lot of moving parts. And if you are looking for more information, we're here to help you. I mean, part of what we've kind of done over the last year or so is the SDA advisory service. So we can help you out with that information. We can facilitate you moving forward in a way where you're not just sitting there or I don't know what I don't know, and hopefully things go well because I haven't done the research. So I think we kind of play into that ability for the company to, in terms of your journey with SDA, to help facilitate that and make sure you get the most value out of potentially doing an NDIS property investment. Yeah, that would be my kind of advice, is to talk to us and also just make sure you do your own research and make sure that you're aware of all the different moving parts, because there's still a lot of opportunity in this industry and it's changing all the time. And as it changes, as it moves forwards, there are going to be new opportunities that come out, and we will try to keep you guys abreast of all opportunities that come out, but there will continue to be, I suppose, lucrative opportunities to move about in this space and to, I suppose, benefit from.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Just following on from that, Matt, without trying to steal your thunder here, Debbie, I was in Melbourne last week for 3 days, and one of our key SDA providers caught up with a large SIL provider, and they started talking about group homes. And he found out from the CEO of the organisation that they were locked into a 5-year contract with the Vic Homes, the Victorian Government Department, who were providing all the funding subsidies to cover all the costs for support workers, and the SIL group homes, the group homes for these providers. And these are averaging 5 per group home, 5 participants per group home. 800 of these will be ceasing their contract at the end of 2025, December 25, which is about 800 times 5 is 4,000 SDA participants coming out of the system, government system.
And going into the private SDA system.
And when I told you these numbers, Debbie, you said to me what? That this is exactly what you thought.
Yeah. Look, we know that there are that kind of number of participants that are living in the older existing group homes, the legacy, the pre-SDA new build homes. We know they're there. We just didn't know when they were going to start moving.
Or how the mechanism operated
Yeah.
to lock them in.
So the numbers didn't surprise me. I went, there they are, basically. And then that we've now got a date.
Yes, because you said, Debbie, many times now that 10 years of which the NDIS rolled out in every jurisdiction is when those group homes...
That's when the legacy homes will be defunded. So, some of these properties or a lot of these properties are probably not the legacy, but they do fall into the basic group homes, not fit for purpose, that will be defunded. And we know that the vast majority of participants that are living in those inner and mid-ring suburbs of Melbourne need to move into new build properties sometime in the coming couple of years. And we now know it's within about 15 months.
And when this gentleman asked the CEO, how is the choice of control of these environments? And he said, they're atrocious. The CEO said that there's no way for them to get out. They're stuck there because it's a government contract.
So anyway, this is just one of the
examples of the moving opportunities.
And the opportunities and the changes that this industry is constantly going through.
So from what Matt said, unless you're in it to win it, if you're not in it to understand the moving parts, who's who, how it all works, you can't take advantage of opportunity. And right now we see an opportunity to get ready for new SA around Victoria, Melbourne specifically, to cater for these potentially up to 4,000 participants coming out of these group homes who are SA funded.
Yep.
The problem is they're all funded for 20 to 30,000 each.
Yeah, group home funding, basic.
They need to be turbocharged SDA change of circumstances and get ready for a new product out there in SDA world in Melbourne. Yeah, but that's beside the point, Matt. First of all, me and Deb would like to thank you for being part of our team for the last 3.5 years. We wish you all the best in your journey in the world of, what is it, cybersecurity?
Correct.
And if that world falls apart, we're still sitting here waiting for you with open arms to come back to us, okay?
It will be.
And hopefully when we get out to Melbourne, Sydney for another visit next year or so, 6 months to a year, we bump into you again and just have another podcast, catch up with you, see where you're at and how things are going, yeah.
Yep. Okay, excellent. It's been my pleasure working here. I've really enjoyed every moment of it. It's been great company to work for and it's been a great industry to work in. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. And for the last time, thanks. Last time for now.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.